here in America, we're dealing with a whole bunch of things. The California recall, one of them, has essentially become a dead heat on the question, should we recall Governor Gavin Newsom or not? Our next guest might just be the person to answer that question for all of us. Earlier, I spoke with Larry Elder, the leading Republican candidate for governor. He's also an attorney, author, and successful radio host. Take a listen. Larry, thank you so much for joining us. Number one, it seems in many ways as if leadership in America is dead. Good help hard to find in executive mansions from New York to California. What makes you think that this perhaps could be the moment to turn that blue state of California red?
Well, Joe, thank you for having me. I'm not sure I can turn it from blue to red. What I can turn it in from what it is now to common sense. People are incensed at the way this man has slammed down this state in the most draconian way compared to all the other 49 governors. Only about half of the jobs pre-pandemic have been restored, whereas 2/3 national average have been restored. He sat up there at that famous French Laundry with the very people that drafted the mandates that he was violating by not wearing masks and by not engaging in social distancing. His own kids, by the way, continued enjoying in-person private education. He exempted his own winery from the mandates. And it is estimated that about 1/3 of all small businesses in California are now gone forever because he ignored science, ignored common sense of Californians, and forced his draconian shutdown on the entire state. And people are hopping mad.
Well, absolutely.
That's why 2/3 of Californians signed a petition to have this guy recalled. And about 25% of those who signed it were Democrats and independents who just voted for the man 2 years earlier. And then you throw in the crime, you throw in the rising homelessness, you throw in the outrageous cost of living, so that for the first time in this state's history, people are leaving. There's a net migration out of California. We've even lost a congressional seat. And the people who are leaving are not the millionaires and billionaires that Bernie Sanders talks about. The people making between 50 and 100K who can't get that first home. The number one reason people cite for leaving California is because they cannot get that first home. And the reason for that is that there has been a smaller quantity of homes because of the environmental regulations that have had a stranglehold on Sacramento for the last 20 or 30 years. I'm going to reverse that if I'm fortunate enough to be elected governor.
Absolutely. Well, to that specific point, the question is not Republican or Democrat, left or right. The question is, do these solutions work or do they not work? You're looking at homelessness run amok. You're looking at crime going through the roof. When you've got the police chief of Oakland decrying this defund police movement, while at the same time you have Democrats trying to rubber stamp it and blood in the streets as a result, clearly there must be some type of renewed interest in common sense.
Absolutely. You mentioned Oakland. Just a few days ago in Oakland, the former Senator Barbara Boxer got mugged. Somebody took her cell phone. And a few months ago, the governor was attacked by a mentally ill homeless person. The only reason he wasn't hurt is because he had security detail. Now, most of us cannot afford a security detail. And this defund the police movement, and since the coronavirus, Joe, you're not going to believe this, 20,000 convicted felons have been benefited from so-called early release. And stats show that convicted felons are likely to reoffend. What could go wrong? That's what's going on here in California. Crime doesn't have a color. Homelessness doesn't have a color. The outrageous cost of living doesn't have a color. And the way this governor shut down this state because of the coronavirus mandates, ignoring science, doesn't have a color.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, you were a late entrant to the field. I've long said that the only way you get somebody to say yes to question one is if they're passionate about who they're going to replace that governor with. Talk to us a little bit about how you have galvanized so much support in such a little bit of time. I know you've raised over $4.5 million in a 19-day period, that sprint to the finish, so to speak. How do you think you can put together that winning coalition, maybe in similar ways that Governor Schwarzenegger was able to get across the finish line ahead of Gavin Newsom?
One of the galvanizing issues is school choice. I believe the money should follow the child rather than the other way around. 75% of black boys in California, believe it or not, cannot read at state levels of proficiency, and those levels are already low. Nearly half of all third graders in California cannot read at state levels of proficiency. These are people who are in K through 12. 80% of the students K through 12 are black and brown, the very ones that the left claims that they care about. Now, in any given year, out of the 300,000 California public school teachers, maybe 2.2 are terminated. It is estimated nationwide that about 5% of all public school teachers are incompetent. That's 15,000 public school teachers, and they end up in South Central. They don't end up in the Valley. They don't end up in the West Side. They end up in South Central. That's why 2/3 of black parents do not want to send their kids back to Los Angeles Unified, because they've been able to see, because of virtual education, how bad the education is. I want to allow the money to follow the child rather than the other way around, and the polls show that black and brown parents want choice in public school, yet they pull that lever year after year after year for the Democratic Party, not giving them that first step towards leaving poverty, which is a quality high school education. I'm going to change that. I'm going to be able to bring Californians together on that issue alone.
Absolutely. Larry Elder, as always, my friends, God bless. We look forward to talking to you again soon and seeing how this recall finally plays out.